Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Marcos Villegas, and welcome to the Fight Hub TV live chat, being joined with the esteemed Marcus Hayes as we begin this live chat today. We're going to do a little bit different. We're going to try to spend a majority of the time answering your guys' comments and doing like a live Q&A with you all instead of the usual topics that we choose to talk about, and then from time to time we go ahead and chime in with you guys. So if you guys are about to joining us or come into this a little later, just make sure to type in your comments or your questions for me or for Marcus, and we'll go ahead and try to get to all of them. But we did have some action over the weekend. So before we go ahead and get to that, and look, we already got a super chat. Beto HDZ, first question of the live from my broski Marcus. Is it Modelo time yet, fool?
Yes, it is, my friend. It is always Modelo time.
Hey, you know what? You got good taste in Modelo too, because you're not going with just the Modelo Especial. You're going with the Modelo Negra. That's the best Modelo that they have.
You know what, man? It is a tasty brewski, man. I've been a IE guy, a SoCal guy. I've been a Blue Moon guy my whole life, pretty much. But yeah, Modelo has crept in and taken the game, bro. Modelo, hit me up. Let's get some sponsorship going.
Yeah, I know, right? Bro, you into micheladas?
Yes, absolutely, homie. I like the little cup that you buy, and you can just refill it.
That Modelo Negra with like michelada, like clamato lemon and like the michelada mix on the rim of the cup is the absolute best, bro. Absolute best.
Yeah.
But Blue Moon is a solid choice too, man. You can make micheladas with Blue Moon also. I've seen that.
You know what, man? The Blue Moon vibe, I like more. Give me a Blue Moon with a little bit of pineapple juice, right? With some live pineapple juice and a little Blue Moon. I know people like the orange, but I've been a Blue Moon and pineapple juice type of guy, man. It's a nice little vibe.
Yeah, I never had a Blue Moon and pineapple juice.
You gotta have
look who it is. Look who it is. It's Yair.
Yair. Hello.
What's good, y'all?
All right, you guys. So we got the whole crew here. We already got a good amount of questions. If you guys are just joining us, I know sometimes these notifications get in later or they're a little bit delayed. First off, everybody, please like the stream, share as well. Something a little different. We're going to get to questions and comments. I know we usually do topics first, but we're going to do questions and comments. So it's kind of like, you know how Reddit has like an Ask Me Anything, an AMA? We're going to try to do this. So if you guys have anything to ask either me, Marcus, or Yair, comments below, and let's go ahead and get started. I don't know. I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Rio Grande Hustler. There we go. Floyd versus Billy Joe. No way. I can't even think of the first. Well, I guess Floyd is kind of like in middleweight now. What that last fight that Billy had was at what 160.
Billy Joe who?
Billy Joe Saunders.
Joe, mate. You talking about Humpty Dumpty head?
Oh wow, be nice, bro. Be nice.
Look. He didn't took too much punishment. Billy Joe need to take the rest of what's left of that good-looking face, no bromo, and go get on Sky Sports, homie. Boxing's over. Canelo took and blew the flame out, man.
Nah, you don't know that, bro. You never know. You never know. Come on.
Floyd versus Billy Joe for what? I like the real name though. That's a dope name.
No, I agree.
Like the fight though, Mike.
There's no point in having a Floyd versus Billy Joe fight, but if Billy Joe's done or not, it's hard to tell. The true test is going to be the next fight that he has, and they're probably going to give him, a I don't want to say a softie, but a tune-up fight to kind of see how he responds. And the real test is going to be the guy after the tune-up fight if he does decide to continue fighting. He made a lot of money in that Canelo fight, so if he wants, if he's lacking the desire, lacking the flame in the tummy to fight, to get up early in the morning and do road work, to put in the work, to diet, to cut weight, he has his out. He had a good career. He won titles.
Yeah.
And he had, good significant fights. Yeah, there were some fights that were left on the table for him. Demetrius Andrade being one of them, I feel,
Mhm.
amongst a bunch of other fights. But at the end of the day, he won a world title and he won a lot of money.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's nothing really him to prove. I mean, he's
No.
made his name and the history for England, right? That's where he's from, England. I mean, he's done. He's been in the Olympics. He's faced notable opponents. Obviously, he came to the Lions Den here at the AT&T Stadium to face Canelo. He really he's really the one who sold that sold that fight. Like, he's the one who started off, Billy.
Nah, bro.
I think he's the one who sold it a little bit more. Just
he made it spicier. That's for sure. He made it spicier, but
Definitely has some spice to it.
Canelo was the guy that sold the 73,000 tickets. They were there.
Oh, no. Yeah. Let me read.
He made it interesting.
He made it more interesting. Not that he sold it, that he brought all the people. No. We definitely know that Canelo's one that brought all the people and sold the show. But what I'm saying, that he was more like the one that made it spicier, that made it more interesting to see.
Yeah, because he talked that ish.
Prior to this, all the Englishmen that Canelo was fighting, nobody really was standing up for Canelo. Nobody was really, making those. Sorry, it's my dog.
Yeah, it's her dog.
I'm like, what is that? You got somebody chained up and back there? Yeah, weird.
What was that? That one wasn't it? Pulp Fiction, where he has a guy chained up in the basement.
Yeah, right.
Or is it?
I hope you don't got a broomstick over there, bro.
Come on, man. I'm about to get medieval on your ass.
Yeah. All right. Arm asks, is Charlo fighting Caleb Plant if the Canelo fight doesn't happen? I don't know, bro. This is the first I've heard about Charlo getting thrown in there for Caleb Plant.
What Charlo? I mean, we're talking about Jamal Charlo?
Yeah, it has to be Jamal because
160, right?
I doubt it, man. I don't think that Caleb Plant is even considering fighting anybody but Canelo at the moment. That's where all the money is. That's what he's in his prime money. It's time right now. Caleb Plant's getting ready to hit the Canelo lottery. You got to play his cards right.
Micah, what's up, man? Micah's always on these live, so big up to Micah. Can anyone tell me why the Canelo Plant fight won't happen? It makes no sense for it not to happen unless Caleb Plant really doesn't want the smoke. I'm choking. Excuse me, guys. A few things. Even though I think they've been resolved, some of the issues. I think PBC wanted Canelo to sign a 3-fight deal. But I think they've gotten past that and they're okay with signing a 1-fight deal. At this point, there could be a few things that could make the fight awry, mainly with any fight, the money and the amount of money the opponent wants and the amount of money the A side or promoter wants to pay the B side, the opponent. That could be one thing that can make the fight go awry. The other thing is if there is not an agreement with drug testing. We've seen fights in the past get canceled over drug testing issues, and that could be a thing too as well, even though I believe that Canelo's for his last few fights has been enrolled in VADA, so I don't think that would be an issue either. I think the main issue would be the purse, the money, but this being an undisputed fight, I think Canelo really wants to be undisputed, and I think he's at a point where obviously, as the promoter, you can't go overboard and pay Caleb Plant like $40 million freaking dollars. But I think he's not going to come with a unreasonable purse that he feels he should be paid, given the magnitude of the fight. If it wasn't an undisputed fight, some of the figures I've heard, then maybe the Canelo side could be like, yo, bro, pump the brakes. Like, you're talking a little crazy here. But because it's an undisputed fight and there's a lot on the line, and I think personally, Canelo wants this really bad because this is one of his goals, is to be the first Mexican undisputed champion. I think that the price, if reasonable and not beyond reason, will be worked out. But to me personally, I think that's probably the only thing that could go awry here in terms of not making the fight happen, unless there's another fight that can net either or more money. But like I said, I don't, for Caleb Plant, there's no other fight that makes the most sense. They can make him the most money with Canelo. In terms of Canelo, yeah, of course, there's other fights that could make him more money, but they don't make sense to what he's laid out and what Eddie Reynoso has laid out for him this year. So it's either Caleb Plant or he goes into a fight with Arthur Beterbiev. What's the more popular fight? Like, what fight would you guys want to see more? A Caleb Plant fight or an Arthur Beterbiev fight? I would like to see the Plant fight because it's an undisputed fight. But an Arthur Beterbiev fight instead of Caleb Plant, I'm cool with that too. What about you guys?
I think it makes more sense the undisputed fight because I think you highlighted the most important part, that he's going to be the first ever Mexican that's going to have the undisputed under his resume. You really don't hear that a lot, and that's just something that, like you said, I really haven't heard from now that the fight is being stalled. I hear just more positive reports than negative, and it's going that way. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of obstacles on the way, obviously, because it's with PBC. Canelo's a free agent. I know there's a lot of obstacles, but I think whatever comes in his way, Canelo's like, I don't care. I want to be undisputed. Like, that's the main reason. That's the only fight that interests me. That's, the casuals will be like, you know what, whatever, whoever he can fight, right? And then critique him. But I think us who really, or, everybody who follows boxing is like, hey, you know what? This undisputed fight really does make sense. This is what needs to be happen. It needs to be done. And honestly, that's the fight that I want to see. That's the fight that we've been marinating for the whole year now. So we're just like a couple of weeks away from possibly getting announced from everything that I'm seeing, everything that just comes up from reports. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. September 18th in Las Vegas. It's going to happen, this and that. So that's the fight that I want to see. And that's the fight I guess everybody else wants, especially Canelo.
I think, the only thing is this. If me as a business person, if I was the PBC people, I would do it because it's in the best interest of my fighter, Caleb Plant. And at the end of the day, the promoters work for the fighters, even though that's not usually always the case, but that's how it should be. But I would not be happy with a one-fight deal. Like, okay, Canelo comes in. What if he beats my guy, takes all the belts? What the hell do I get out of that? Yeah, I sold a lot of pay-per-views, but now, I got a Caleb Plant that has one loss. It's I see both sides, but you always want to be on the side of the fighter and of the sport. Boxing is, you should be, as fans, promoting and supporting what's best for boxing, not promoting and supporting a promoter. The sport is bigger than the promoters, and you should be advocating for the sport, for what's good for the sport and what's going to make the sport more popular. And sometimes I trip out, man. Sometimes I trip out because I've seen fans, support a promoters more than the actual sport, or like they don't want to see a certain fight because it'll put shine on a certain promoter. And I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense to me at times. But some boxing fans are weird, man.
I feel like this fight depends on what stage of, or these two fights depend on what stage of boxing fan that you are. I think that, and it's no offense to everybody, I think that the more popular fight that everybody can launch onto naturally is the unification fight. It's a little
Undisputed.
more sexy.
Undisputed.
Like the unification, the undisputed fight.
No,
right?
don't confuse people.
No. You're right. Undisputed. You're right. You're absolutely right. The undisputed fight between Plant and Canelo. It sounds great. It sounds wonderful. I think that probably is a lot closer than a fight with Beterbiev. You have to realize a fight where Arthur Beterbiev is one where Canelo is going to be receiving oncoming fire the whole fight. He'll be under pressure and duress the whole fight. He'll be bleeding. Canelo could potentially be hurt or KO versus Beterbiev. That's a more difficult road. I definitely think that the Caleb Plant makes more sense, not only for Plant, but for Canelo as well.
Canelo or Crawford? I'm not sure what's that in reference to, if it's pound for pound list or who's a better fighter, or I have no idea, but give us a little bit more insight. Chain with Ice, what's up, bro? Thank you for going in.
Let me get to Gilbert A real quick. The Plant fight is closer to being made than a Beterbiev versus Canelo fight. I'm not saying that it's a closer fight stylistically on who's going to win. I'm talking about on actually being made. I think more if Marcus passes out on live, I'm gonna lose it. Yeah, not gonna happen, right? But yeah, I think that it's a closer fight to be made. That's what I'm saying.
Marcos, when we were in San Antonio, right? That's where we were just about a week ago. Right, we heard a lot of we heard a lot of rumors, Marcos. Correct me if I'm wrong, that the Caleb plant was a little bit more closer to be made than Better BF, but Better BF was like Plan B.
No, Bivol was Plan B.
Bivol. That was like
which kind of took me off to like a left turn because I honestly think that the a Bivol fight for Canelo would be a little bit more trickier than a Caleb Plant because Bivol is a really freaking awkward guy, has really awkward rhythm and really awkward timing, and it's going to be really hard to mimic someone like that in sparring. And honestly, I don't think Canelo's ever fought a guy with that weird awkward timing like a Bivol, who's freaking really good as well, really technically sound. That's a nightmare matchup for Canelo, in my opinion. Not saying that
but he's not the class at 175. Bivol is a step below.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that.
We
don't know that, bro. They haven't fought. A lot of people think that Bivol can beat Better BF.
Bivol has been marked up, nicked up, and caught up in his last couple of fights. He's actually been in some tougher fights than Better BF has been in. I think that's
gonna happen though when you fight tough fights, bro. You're gonna get
absolutely. Well, I mean, what's Better BF's excuse? He's cleaning people up.
True.
He's beating people up. He's looking like what you guys used to say the old Kovalev looked like.
Who has he fought though in these last few fights?
Hey, that's the same thing we said about Kovalev for a little while. So now let's get on the Better BF train. I see a lot of people like him.
You know what? Adam, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. 19-1-1 is his last opponent back in March of this year. After that, Bozdek, who was a champion, ended up retiring him. Then I remember this Kalitsky or whatever.
He fought somebody here from Dallas. He fought somebody here from Dallas like a couple of.
I don't think any of the guys at 75 are unbelievable, but I just think that Bivol's name is on the list because he looks more vulnerable than he used to. That's why his name's on the list. There was no more 75 names really on the list until vulnerability was shown. Let's be honest.
Hello. That's just funny. He's like, hello. Brimley Benko. Hello. What do you think if the fight happens between Joe Joyce and Luis Ortiz? I didn't catch Joe Joyce's fight against Carlos Takam over the weekend, but Marcus did. So I'll defer that to you, Marcus. What do you think, Joe Joyce and Luis Ortiz?
Man, you know what? Joe Joyce is a bit of an enigma right now. I don't quite know. He looked better versus Dubois, the fight before than I thought against Takam. I thought he took a lot of shots against Takam. He really depended a lot on his chin. He took a lot of, you could say he walked through shots with guys that are quicker and that got more stamina. I think with American style heavyweights, he'd have more problem. He definitely would have more problem than he doesn't. So, a fight with him and Ortiz probably seems like it's about in order. Let's bring him over and see what can happen. It's time to put Joe Joyce in tougher.
I had read something on Twitter that he was losing the fight, Joe Joyce, up until the stoppage. Is that true?
No, he was getting caught, but he wasn't losing. You can tell that he was starting to get home. He was getting hit, but he was starting to overtake Takam, and Takam just fell off the cliff, man, as buff as he is, bro. He started off like a flash in the pan, and he went out like one as well.
See, my thing has always been with Joe Joyce is I felt he was very robotic, very predictable. He fought stiff. Yeah. He fought like how Anthony Joshua used to fight like maybe 5 years ago. The last fight that he had with Dubois, I saw a little bit more fluidity to his game. Did he improve on that, Marcus? Like, did he look a little less robotic?
I honestly think, man, that he regressed some. I think that he is food for somebody like Andy Ruiz, who's a combination puncher who fights on the inside. He would probably smother Joe Joyce and I think put Joe Joyce's flame out kind of early. I definitely see that he's susceptible to combination punching. He looks to be there. Takam was just off kilter with a lot of his heavy punches that he was throwing. He was plainly missing the chin of the head by Joyce that truly wasn't being moved until it got hit. It was weird.
Yeah, all I saw, what was weird was that the Juggernaut costume that he came out with, it looked like a penis head. It looked like
My boy
penis head.
he came out with the Juggernaut costume from Kmart, homie.
From Kmart, yeah.
Well, for the Kmart one, he came out with the 99-cent store Juggernaut costume. I said, did this boy take his mama's trash can from his bathroom and cut holes in it? It was ridiculous, man. Like, and the UK announcers didn't even know what it was. It was like, quite bizarre outfit by Joyce. Strange choice. Like, it was crazy.
Oh,
bro.
goodness.
You know what fight's coming up this weekend in England? It's Granados versus
your boy, Conor Benn.
Conor Benn.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Adrian.
Adrian throws down, man. So does Conor.
Yeah, that's going to be a good fight. I don't think that's going to last. Also, I don't think that's going to be a fight that's going to last that long.
Yeah,
no,
man.
Because Granados just throws,
heart.
man. Canelo versus Andrade. Who wins?
What? What? What's her? What? Her what? What you talking about? Her what?
I think
you ain't about to see that Canelo
I think that fight is very underrated. Just because Andrade doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's very awkward, something that we all know. He's not you're stylish, you're beautiful boxer that you want to create at a video game. You try to stay away from that. But I think going into that fight, if that fight ever possibly happens, I think, in my personal opinion, that it will frustrate Canelo. We'll see another side of Canelo to be frustrating because just Andrade is very awkward. But I think the experience and the power and the pressure that Canelo brings will probably take, Andrade to the deep waters and make him very uncomfortable, make him, get him out of his game plan, and obviously come out victorious. I would think about maybe like a TKO, a late round knockout in favor for Canelo. That's just my personal opinion. But I think that Andrade doesn't get the credit it deserves just because of the way he fights. And I think he will frustrate Canelo at some times. That's what I think. But I don't think why I'm laughing is because the video keeps popping up in my feed. Marcos, the video.
You want payday? You want payday?
Get the fuck out of here, man. It was funny because when we were there, we were all just sitting there. We're like, that just happened. That just happened. I was like, wow. And the video keeps popping up and memes keep on coming up from that. So I was like, oh my God.
I don't think it'll ever happen because Canelo at this point, it's either he's going for like world title, but yeah, Andrade has a world title, so it's not just world title. It's like name recognition, and whether you like it or not, you got to admit, Team Andrade and Eddie Hearn have not done a great job of keeping Andrade in the zeitgeist of boxing fans, on the mind of boxing fans, in fights that raise his profile. They've done a terrible job with that through not Andrade's fault. I think it falls more on the promoter.
Don't say Andrade. Yeah.
No,
he called a promoter for a reason. Promoter. That's like blaming the hand.
But also too though, it's the fighters also have to do their end too and promote themselves. Like look at Jake Paul. Like Jake Paul is writing a whole new chapter in self-promotion.
But he was popular before he started boxing though.
Exactly though, but he's showing how you can
look at Andrade. Andrade was an Olympian. What else does a fighter have to do, mate? What else does a guy have to do? Go to the Olympics. He's gone to the Olympics.
It's not just that, bro. It's not.
He's a champion. I'm just saying.
You have to promote yourself, bro.
He went to the Olympics. He's won every fight that he's been in.
Yeah, but that doesn't
champion.
That doesn't mean you're going to be a star automatically.
Oh, so he's got to be out there putting on the show, huh? He wants to be a fighter. That's what guys
promotion is.
But he's from that Rhode Island, New England area, bro.
That's fine if he wants to be a fighter.
Grab their lunch pal and just go to work. Somebody give the guy a fight, for God's sakes.
And that's fine. That's completely fine.
We need to start hanging out with Mark Wahlberg then. How's that? Mark Wahlberg. Go kick it with Andrade, bro.
That conversation.
Hold on there. But if you just want to be a fighter, just go and fight. You can't expect then for people to just comb over you in terms of fights. If you have no fanfare, no huge fan base, no huge draw, for these things. Yeah, it's one thing, but the promoters have to promote the fighters, but also too, at the end of the day, the fighters have to promote themselves
by winning fights.
By winning fights, by being out there, by promoting themselves, by making themselves more accessible, by beefing up their social media, by doing all sorts of stuff that is going to raise their profile. Yeah, I understand. Like it's the promoter's job to get them fights and to get them fights that build their names, but also the fighters too have to learn this new aspect that Jake and Logan Paul are giving light to. The reason why these guys are making the money they're making and in the positions that they're in is because they know how to market themselves.
And I give them that. Go, Yair. What you gonna say, bro?
Everything that Marco said, you touch a lot of pinpoints, and I like all of them. But don't you think that maybe the Paw Brothers have to do that because they really have nothing else to lose? Some of these fighters like Andrade, I mean, he has more to lose than the Paw Brothers. Could it be possibly that? I mean, what do you think?
I see where you're going with it, Yair. Because if a Paw Brother does something stupid, he can fall back into making dumb videos about eating marshmallows covered in peanut butter real quick and get 100 million views and get some money. Where Andre, this is what he's trained for since he was a child. And all we're saying is just that get a dude to fight. And let me touch and cover on that other fight. I think Andre versus Canelo being the fight I'm talking about. Andre versus Canelo is a tough fight. First off, what weight are they going to fight at? What weight are they going to fight at? They come up to 68. You know that Andre's bigger than Canelo is. No question. Andre's a bigger guy than Canelo. He's taller. Is he not taller than Canelo? Are his arms not longer than Canelo's? I'm just saying. And this is not a novice guy who does not know how to use his reach and who does not. Now, we can say, he hasn't looked good before. Why is that excuse to not fight a guy then? Why is that not why can you just cast a guy and say, hey, he's a terrible fighter and he's a champion, and all of a sudden he's not worthy of being fought? It's ridiculous, man. That's new age coward talk right there, bro. That's new age cowardom.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. I'm not disagreeing anything you're saying. Everything you're saying is correctly. What did I say? It's a fight that is very it's underrated. It's under the radar that I believe people will, once that fight comes, if it happens, I think it will be one of those fights that wow, like we really did underestimate Andrade. Like we really did. And I think that's the point that I'm trying to make and you're trying to make, Marcus, is that Andrade's not getting the credit he deserves. Possibly because people don't know him. Casuals really don't know him. Casuals they'll be like, Andrade, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
M-Easy BX in the chat says it right there, bro. Terrible fighter equals difficult fight.
Exactly.
That's what this new talk is. I'm not trying to say that Canelo's a coward or anything like that.
Bro,
let me tell you something. When I was doing amateur, my coach would always bring this fighter, right? And I learned this from my coach. He will always bring this fighter. He was a little bit shorter than me, but he was extremely awkward. And I hated sparring him. I hated it. But my coach always told me, those are the fights that are going to make it difficult and are going to make you better. And I said, how is this fool going to make me better? It's just pissing me off. He's like, exactly. You're pissed. It's taking off your game plan. You can't come up with a double jab. You can't jab him to the body real quick because he's shorter than you. You got to keep your low guard instead of a high guard. And so that's where it falls back when people say Andrade does not deserve to be in the same ring with Canelo. It's because he's going to make it very harder. It's not going to be that same fighters that Canelo faces, all the English fighters that he's fought recently. It's going to be
so let me pump the brakes on both.
I'm sorry, Marcos.
Let me pump the brakes here, guys.
Marcos,
we
disagree.
Pump the brakes, both you guys. Stop. Facts. Canelo's fought better guys than Andrade. Facts. Wait, let me finish. Canelo has beaten better guys than Andrade. Barely, but better guys than Andrade. Landy Lara, better fighter than Andrade. Trickier fighter than Andrade. Okay? For reals. Landy Lara. Yeah, in his prime. All right?
You smoking.
The other thing, Andrade has looked he struggled the last 2 fights against guys that Canelo probably would have stopped in 6 rounds. With the Liam guy, showed a ton of heart, rocked Andrade. Canelo rocks him that way. Andrade's not getting up. I'm not saying it won't be a difficult fight, but I would favor Canelo right now in that fight. And this, I just feel, technically speaking, Canelo has faced better fighters than Andrade. Technically speaking, Erislandy Lara, in my opinion, is more technical than Demetrius Andrade. Technically speaking, Floyd Mayweather, a lot better than Demetrius Andrade as well, you know?
This is you talking about like the Mayweather fight. That's something a young lion trying to climb up the ladder and the champ wouldn't come down, like Roy Jones says. I mean, you're not Lara and Andrade right now. Lara, yeah, come on, man. Lara and Andrade.
Lara's had more fights than Andrade. And he's been fighting more guys than Andrade. He's had a lot more.
The other guys fight Andrade. Then why won't they fight Andrade?
Because his promoter is doing a bad job.
And now let's go to that. Now, and this is my other point, and I'm gonna get off Andrade because I don't want to bore our audience because I know people don't like to hear about Andrade. I'm gonna let it go after this though. Andrade is the quintessential reason why some of these young fighters that look like Andrade should be considering going over to PBC and not dealing with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn promised him Triple G. Sign with me, get Triple G. Sign with me, get Canelo. Sign with me, get everything that you want and need. There has been no movement on that front at all. He got this boy, locked him up in the backdoor contract, and what he sees is what he's getting. Exactly nothing. Backdoor, strange, bum alley fights with a guy that's got who knows what type of championship caliber material he's made of. If Andre's with Al Heyman, are we talking about Andrade? What if Andrade is in the place of Charlo's last opponent?
Charlo's already said he'll never give him a fight. He's already said that.
It wouldn't matter if they both were with PBC.
Here's the other thing, Marcus.
I don't think so.
It takes 2 to tango. What if Andrade's okay with fighting these guys and getting paid the amount he's paying because they're paying him well? You know, like I said, Andrade could choose to not re-sign with Eddie. You know, so it takes 2 to tango, bro. You know, maybe we don't know. We haven't interviewed him, but you know, if he was that unhappy, I would think Andrade would leave Eddie.
We tried.
He's still with Eddie. He's still with Eddie, which means he's happy. He's happy, you know, with what's going on.
Is he happy? So does he look happy when he's invading the press conference? That's not a happy fighter, bro. He's not happy.
He's trying to get a fight. That's what he was trying to do.
Exactly. He's trying to get a fight. But hey, I want to touch real quick on this.
Braden.
Yeah, get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'll touch on that because I've been there when Manny's been around with all those people. Braden, what are your thoughts on Manny having 300 plus people show up at his workouts? I wish more fighters could do that / would do that. All right, so I was there the first week when Manny started his training camp, and there wasn't a lot of people. And then I've been kind of keeping my eye on it, seeing people there. There's a ton of people there now. I know there is. So just this whole COVID thing has been really weird with restricted access with fighters. You know, and obviously we've seen fights fall through because of COVID. You know, Wilder Fury postponed because of COVID. So I know there is a concern there on Manny's part, having so many people there around. That is it okay? And I know Manny's had to kind of alter some of the stuff that he's done, and he's still running, but he's doing his ab work at home now as opposed to staying there and doing the ab work, and kind of doing different trails. Manny's always been accessible here in the United States, and seeing a ton of people run with him, seeing a ton of people watch him work out in the mornings. He's always done that. It's always been a thing with Manny. Should more fighters do that? Yeah, I think so. Well, you're saying no, I think so because look, that's PR, that's press, bro. That's how you make new fans. You want to have a ton of people like that. It's not distracting him because certain fighters it'll distract, certain fighters it won't. It's not like Manny's inviting people during his game plan sessions, training at the Wildcard. He's doing his morning run. He's doing, his ab work, his conditioning work, where it makes sense to have people that as a PR person, you want your fighter to have guys like that. Like, heck yeah, you want that publicity and that PR. You want that excitement to go ahead and follow into this Errol Spence fight. So I agree with you, Braden. I think more fighters should do that. More fighters should go run in the hills and tell fans, hey guys, I'm running Mount Baldy this morning. Come join me. That's how you build a fan base. That's how you build a community around you. That's how you build a dedicated following for yourself, doing stuff like that. You guys are shaking your head, but I
disagree. I disagree and agree. Wow. I disagree and agree because here's one thing. One time when I talked to David Benavides, he told me this that was very important. He said why he likes to be alone in training camp. He told me this is before COVID, a simple handshake. How's it going? And that person has a cold or the flu. That's a setback in your training camp.
Wash your hands.
Really? Like that simple?
Yeah. It is that simple. Wash your hands. Simple. Don't touch your face.
Now that everything is airborne, now we see more viruses and everything that we can contract. I'm just saying, like, I like the idea. There's nothing wrong with it. I love the idea because, like you said, Marcos, like, build more fans. Let them see you. Let you really see you how you are outside of the gym, outside the boxing. That you're this warrior, but outside you're very calm. You like greeting the people. I certainly agree with that. But I believe there's time and place with that, with meet and greets or prizes. I don't know, but I think when it comes to the training camp, it's to be just secluded just for the team. But one thing that we know about Manny Pacquiao is that he's a people's champion. He's never going to turn down his fans. He never has. He never will. It's good and bad. But personally, me, I kind of really don't like it that much because of the health.
Like I mentioned, it's not like he's having people at the wild card. The wild card is very selective. Like not everyone goes there. But these things, when he's outside for a run, outside doing abs, that's when all these people are going and able to watch him. And you know what? To me, I think it's as a boxing fan, that's a great thing, because how often are you going to be able to interact or see someone like a Manny Pacquiao, What's up, Marcus? You're laughing.
You know what, man? As far as I was just laughing at somebody in the chat that said, I worry every time David Benavidez gets brought up on me. But what I was thinking about Pacquiao, man, I mean, like, and as the world changes, man, so does the way that you must navigate in it, right? You can't just bring people around and just have random people around anymore, man. I mean, because we look at it, it's unfortunate, bro. You got just some weird nuts that just come around just to be deviant, dog. I think that the fighters' camp need to be treated like football practice for the Rams or another team that you would be dealing with, strict access, access maybe only to the media, and then on organized days where there's proper, buffering between the two.
No, Manny has his security team there. They keep people away from him. He has security people there. If you guys have ever seen him when he runs or when he trains, he has like.
And I mean, there are people there. I mean,
and they all keep their distance and they don't, really let a lot of people get too close, even though Manny will sign things and take pictures. Yeah, but the security guards will tell them, keep your mask on, please, when they get close to Manny.
But COVID is fake.
Yeah, I saw some guy say that. What a dumb.
Marcos, the big question that I have for you, Marcos, is have you kept up with Manny when you go to the workout?
I haven't ran with Manny in a while, actually. But hopefully I get a chance to do it. But I just want to clear it with him because it's just things are weird now. Just things are like before, like stuff like that wouldn't be a big deal. Now it's a big deal, So I think that's just in general. MEZBX, did Eddie Hearn offer $7 million to Charlo? I don't know. Eddie's told me many times that he did, in fact, offer that to Charlo. Why is Munguia fighting Rosado when he is Andrade's mandatory? Munguia's 37 fight and he's fighting Gabe Rosado. Stop it, bro. Dude, I agree with you. Shoot. But I don't. Well, Eddie did take Canelo away. Well, that's not true. Golden Boy and Oscar, they did their part in why Canelo left. Eddie signed Canelo, so I'm sure there's some resentment there on Golden Boy's part, even though I don't think that would stop from a fight happening. It's pure speculation on my end, but I would think that maybe there would be some sour grapes there on wanting to be super open and doing business with them because of the Canelo situation. But with that being said, I think you're right, bro. If he's the mandatory, I don't know why Munguia and Rosado, even though I like that fight for Rosado, man. And big ups to Rosado, man. He's a guy that, regardless of what his record is, he comes to throw down. And I think he's the perfect example. He's one of the few guys that doesn't have the most appealing record, but people still tune in and watch him because they know he fights his ass off in there.
He's one of the fighters that I like to watch. I truly, since way back, like I've always liked his story. I like what he comes, his background, and every fight, like you said, he comes to fight. He doesn't come just to defend or get a paycheck. He'll come to fight. Wherever they put it, he's going to get it as well. So I admire Gabe Rosado. I always tell people, man, watch this fight. Gabe Rosado. Nah, he's like, no, trust me. Like, just see the way he fights. He might lose, but he doesn't lose because he quits. He loses because, it's a cut or just a tough fight. Goes to the scorecards, unanimous decision. Like it's Gabe Rosado stock went back up, and it's always been up and down. But I want to touch back on a comment that somebody said. What was the source about Bivol and Canelo? I mean, we heard it from a credible source, and you know that, Marcos. We heard it from
someone associated with
someone very
Canelo's camp.
Canelo's camp, and it was we're not going to say the name, obviously, with all due respect. But it was a credible source, and we were like, me and Marcos were having breakfast. We're like, what? That like caught us from the blind. Like, we're like, no, really? Bivol was like, okay, yes, but
we got to try and get Sergio Martinez on Triller. No, God, no. Martinez has like no knees anymore. I was a huge fan of him back in the day, but no, that would be good for him.
The last fight, you could just see those knees were out. You could just see those. He was struggling. That he couldn't even get up from a flash knockdown. It was just bad. I was like, man, it's just bad. It's just terrible that see a fighter go like that. But I mean, if he would come on Triller, I would want to see him face Chavez Jr. again. Chavez Jr. Fighter that
Sergio has had an episode during his comeback.
Yeah.
He's had a knee pain, and he's had another knee pain episode during his comeback. Or are you talking about something that happened in the past? Because
he had the last fight. Yeah, but he doesn't.
Were his knees acting up? I'm asking, were his knees acting up in the last fight?
He didn't look.
I thought he just won again. That was it.
He did
2 in a row.
But if you saw the fights, like just to me, having covered a lot of Sergio's fights here in the U.S., obviously, he's older, and when you get older, it's just not the same. But it's just you could tell that there's something off there. Like I could tell that there's something off there. Like the mobility, like it was before, the fluidity, like it was before. It's just not the same. And you see the knee braces that he has there too.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Super J. Cole. Hey, Fight Hub. How do you see Usyk versus AJ going, and what do you think Papachenko's game plan will be? That's an interesting fight, man, but I'm going to defer to both you guys. Give me your takes.
Yair, you want to take that? Because look, some people ain't going to like what I'm going to say.
Usyk, I think he's very underrated. That's a big word I've been using this tonight.
I know it's like
that tournament that he won, that Super Series, right, Marcos? That tournament that he won it, and he put a spectacular performance. I don't know. I just feel that AJ's chin he has a glass chin. My personal opinion, I feel like his glass chin is very, very up there. And I think Usyk could come for the surprise. And I think Usyk's inside fighting could probably overpower Joshua. If Joshua just sticks to the normal game. When Anthony Joshua, he fought.
You think Usyk's going to beat Joshua?
I don't know. That's just me. That's just me doing a little bit. I just feel that. But if Anthony Joshua comes out how he fought Andy Reese in the second fight when he just stayed in the outside, and still he got caught sometimes. If he stays on the outside, it's going to be a very boring fight. It's going to be a very tactical fight, and it's not going to be an explosive fight. But I believe if he stays in the outside, that's all Joshua. But if the inside for Usyk, that's what's going to he can pull off the biggest upset. And it's something that I can go back to, Marcos, that when you put on Twitter, man, Usyk is just going to screw the whole heavyweight division up for everybody. Like, it's not going to be Joshua. His fury is not going to be that fight. It's going to fall through. It's going to be Usyk coming in. Something just tells me that. And I feel like we've seen too many weaknesses in AJ's game plan. I love AJ. He's a great fighter. I love him inside and out. He's a great fighter. One of the best heavyweights out there. But there's just so many flaws that I see personally. Me. Marcus.
AJ definitely is a good heavyweight. I would not go so far as to call him great.
Bro, wait, bro. He's unified champion. What do you mean he's not great? Come on, dog.
What do you mean? What do you, bro? Stop with the great talk. AJ,
bro, they don't just hand out Olympic gold medals.
Not, but I still don't see him as a great. I don't see him as a great.
Wait.
More has to be done,
bro. More has to be done. He's unified champion, dog.
AJ's not a great.
Bro, he has the best resume at heavyweight right now.
Make it stop. God.
Come on, dog.
Make it
Come
stop.
on, bro.
Marcus?
The disrespect.
Make it stop. Okay, just here. Just here, bro. Listen, man. Listen. What I'm saying is that I do think that AJ's a good fighter. I think
great. He's a great fighter.
Hey,
Come
man,
on,
I think he's a good fighter. I think definitely he's in deep. I think that Usyk is a real tough fight for him. It depends on how much Usyk comes in on weight, what weight Usyk comes in at. And number two, I know everybody would like to jump on and say, I think that Usyk would stop him. But, bro, Usyk's got a stamina thing going on at heavyweight that has got to get cleaned up, too. Against Chisora, there were times where he seemed to be laboring. We've seen times where Joshua has appeared to kind of be laboring as well, man. I just think that if AJ's not all the way on his game, we could have a hiccup. Even if he was supposed to beat Usyk, AJ for me is on upset alert. I'm not saying that he's going to lose, but I'm definitely saying he is on upset alert. And for you folks that are betting, if you look it up, man, Usyk's a live underdog. You need to go get that. I think that's a good bet.
That's interesting, man. I'm surprised that both you guys think that Usyk is a live dog in the fight. If I were pressed to give my pick as to who would win the fight, I think I would say, with confidence, Joshua, because I just don't think that Usyk has the firepower to stop an Anthony Joshua. It remains to be seen if he grows into the division, and if and when he does grow into the division, if he starts taking out opponents in a more dominant and impressive way. But the last two fights that he's had with opponents, I just feel that the firepower hasn't been there, and he's been put in dangerous positions where I think the elite guys wouldn't have let him off the hook for some of the stuff that he's done. Now, can he clip Joshua? Of course he can. I think so. He can.
That's where my worry is for Joshua right there. What you just said, Joshua getting clipped. Now Usyk has a couple good things going for him. One thing in particular that Usyk is real dangerous with in the first 6 rounds. If you watch Usyk fight, Usyk is terribly accurate. His punches land home. His offense up top is pretty solid, especially with the straight punches and with the hooks going around the guard. I think that something can sneak in and put AJ down. If you can, I think that AJ's belief still hasn't galvanized in himself since his last little hiccup. I don't think that he's all the way back to having an iron belief in himself. I think that it still can be tested and taken.
See, just my thing is, does Usyk have the firepower to keep Joshua down? That's my thing. And can he take the full brunt of a guy like Joshua's power if he gets caught?
That's yet to be seen. I mean, Usyk is undefeated, so Usyk doesn't know how to lose. So I mean, and that's another thing. Joshua has shown you he's okay with losing too. At one point when he lost, man, he became like a spokesman for Andy Ruiz after the fight, whatever it was. You can say that he was concussed or whatever it was, but it looked like he actually went, oh, man, I don't got to worry about this anymore. That bothered me, bro. That doesn't just go away.
No, you know what? I think that was more the pressure of being not only undefeated, but I guess the pressure of being Anthony Joshua at that point. I think with the loss,
he said it. He was relieved when he lost.
Yeah, he was. I think he got all that all that expectation, all that pressure just off. And I think it's not. I don't see it as what you guys are seeing. I see it as like, well, the worst has happened, and now it's time to rebuild. Now, hey, like this is not the end of the world. Like if I lose, I've already lost my O. Like I've already been at the lowest lows. Like there's nothing else that can go ahead and affect me now because I've experienced the lowest I could possibly be. Like there's nothing worse than this moment right here. Beto HDZ, thanks for the super chat. Hey everybody, do us a big favor. Go ahead and give us a round of likes, please. If this is the first time you are watching us here, we're here every Monday at 5:35. Subscribe to the channel, please. Follow us on social media at FightUpTV. Beto HDZ, Casimiro Nonito fell out per reasons. Now he's facing his OG opponent in Guillermo Rigondeaux. Inoue versus Nonito 2, fight of the year or not, over Valdez or Burchelt. I would love to see Nonito and Inoue part 2. Usually, you know what? It's rare to see a fight be as good as the first fight when it was as action-packed. I think there's been very few fights that have been like that. Like the ones that come to mind are Vasquez versus Marquez. All those fights were great except for the fourth one. The fourth one kind of sucked. Brandon Rios, Mike Alvarado. The first fight was great. The second one, Alvarado boxed. The third one, más o menos. So it's rare that it lives up to the first fight, but I would love to see the rematch.
Yeah, I would love to see the rematch, but I like what you said, that the second go around, it's not going to be the same one because expectations, you don't know this time you know what to expect out of both fighters, and they already probably studied each other more than enough, and I think the game plan would be very different. Won't be explosive, but I do like the Inoue versus Nonito too. I would like to see it again, just as set it aside, because we see that Nonito rewinds the clock in his age. Like he gets better every year as the older he gets.
Jen Jordan. Oh, okay. My bad. Go ahead, Marcus.
No, what I was just gonna say is just definitely I don't see Inoue versus Nonito quite part 2 quite yet. I think that that has to be for the Undisputed. I think that's probably one of the only ways that'll end up happening. I could be wrong. Maybe it comes up, but I just don't see it right now. And as far as the Casimiro Rigging the Out fight, Casimiro has been talking some serious smack, bro. This is a guy who, if you watch the presser, I was in the presser with these two, and just hearing him, he wants a guy to stand in front of him so he can blast his ass away. I'm really excited and intrigued to see the personal challenge that he put to Rigging the Out, saying that come and fight. Come fight, don't run, come fight. I know Rigging the Out is a proud guy, guys. Make sure you're there to watch on August 14th. It's going to be a real good fight, bro. Real good.
Jen Jordan is asking us, please ask if you think Tyron Woodley is going to win. You guys are silent. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. You guys don't think T Wood's going to win?
His last 4 fights have been against top caliber fighters, but every fight that he had, his body was broken down a lot. The experience is going to be a huge factor, but there's a reason why Jake Paul is fighting these UFC fighters that you're like, wow, they could have that legitimate chance. I love Woodley, but I don't know. It's going to be a very hard fight.
One down for Woodley. Look at Marcus. Marcus is like, he's hurt. I see the pain in his. I see the pain in your face, Marcus. I see the pain in your face.
It all depends on what T Wood's boxing really looks like, man. I think I'll say this. Jake hadn't been hit. Jake hadn't even, you go back and watch the fights. I watched his fights today. I watched them this morning. And I really don't think he's been hit by anybody. But the thing is, man, is then I looked at the face off and I'm like, geez, bro, I didn't realize that he was so much bigger than Woodley was too. Like, he makes Woodley look kind of small, bro. And T Wood, we got to talk. I hope to get a chance to rap with you one of these days, bro. Look, you got a lot riding on this, man. This is arguably, I hate to say it, bro, because I know you've been a champion. This is probably one of the biggest fights of your career, man. It's crazy that it is boiled down to this. You cannot get beat by this cat. Bottom line, you backed into a corner. You cannot lose, man. I'd hate to be you, dog. You got hand speed. We'll see what happens.
I was telling
UFC hand speed and boxing hand speed is not the same. Can I say that? Can I please tell everybody that? I don't think the hand speed's the same. I don't think they translate.
I was telling Marcos, I was like, man, I don't. If Woodley loses this fight, he's going to lose a lot of credibility, a lot. Like his UFC, and Marcos was like, no, I don't agree with you because UFC and the boxing's been too different. But I said, I don't know. Woodley has always come out with like the tough fighter. He's always been, he's been a champion. He's been in raw dog fights, and he been acting like he acted in the movie like a tough guy, and then all of a sudden to lose against this fighter that no experience really, and technically this is his amateur career. I don't know. I think he has a lot to lose. He has a lot to lose. I'm not saying it's an opportunity, but it's like the skepticism that I have is like, how's his boxing IQ going to be? Is he going to just come forward? Is he going to keep looking for his head? How is Jake Paul going to come forward? I mean, how's Jake Paul going to try to keep him at bay or try to reel him in to knock him out? How's his chin? Because Woodley he's slightly been knocked down in UFC. But then again, what overpowers everything for me is that Woodley, those last 4 fights have been against top caliber fighters. We'll see. I know Woodley probably watches this, and I'm rooting for you, but please.
Well, I think everybody doesn't want to see. Well, I guess boxing fans don't want to see Jake Paul win a fight or win this fight. But you know what? That's funny that you said what you said, Marcus, about like, oh, he cannot lose. You can't lose if there's any fight. You can't lose. You can't lose this fight. I actually asked Woodley that. When they announced this fight in Miami, I asked him like, bro, what happens if you lose this fight? And he gave an honest answer. He said, what happens? I lost the fight. Like, did I want to lose those other fights? No, I didn't. I didn't want to lose those 4 fights in a row, but it's just a fight. If I lose another fight, whatever. Okay. Oh, well, I lost the fight.
Okay. No. If you lose this fight, T Wood, you're going to be getting a tattoo on your body. Brother, I love Jake Paul tattoo also. Listen, if you walk around with a I love Jake Paul tattoo for any time frame, brother, it's just not a good look, man. I'm telling you, like, he's got a lot of pressure on him, man. And but pressure makes diamonds, bro, or bust pipes. So T Wood has the experience. We can't go against that and say that his prowess in the MMA doesn't, in the UFC, MMA UFC, it doesn't carry some weight going into this bout. On the other hand, it's still a fight, man. And T Wood has had more fights proverbially than Jake, so he should win. He's a little guy. I know all the little dudes out there like, the size don't matter, bro. He gonna put this dude down. Look, man, it definitely it would be a little black eye on UFC if T Wood gets knocked out with his ass, Nate Robb.
I told you that, Marcos. I told you that on the side. I said, Marcos, he can't lose. He cannot lose. Like he's going to lose a lot of credibility. And remember, I went back to say, like, he even acted in the movie Straight Outta Compton. Like he acted like this tough gangster guy and everything else. Like that's when he's always been that tough guy. Like so, I'm like, you can't lose these type of fights. Like you just like in the you're like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, well, I mean, you just can't lose. So I mean,
obviously it'll be a hit to his pride, but it's like it's two different things. Like you got to remember, this is an MMA fighter that's transitioning into boxing.
Nobody cares about that.
That's what it is, though. That's what it is.
What happens when you talk shit? When you talk shit, you lose all handicap.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Nobody cares about that.
You've been talking shit.
In the street,
handicap, doggy.
When you get in a fight in the street, they're not gonna say, you can't say, well, I'm an MMA fighter. I'm not boxing.
This isn't a street fight, though.
Look, I would hate to be check this out. I would hate to be Tyron Woodley after losing to Jake Paul and then go to my barber, homie, to go get that fresh cut that he be getting.
Hey, you know what? I'm sure he's not gonna care because he's gonna go to that barber. The barber's gonna tell him that, and he's gonna show him his phone and be like, "You see these zeros in here? Yeah, I don't feel that bad."
No, because he don't show them zeros when he be going up in there when he was whooping people's asses. That was pride he was living off of. I mean, I'm just saying, bro, not only his pride and reputation are on the line more than any other fight that he's been in. If he gets KO'd by a guy in his division in UFC, it's not as spicy and as ugly as getting knocked out by your boy Jake Paul, bro. Jake Paul is just above like the dude that's living in his, you know what I'm saying? Like just his life isn't nowhere near what these other guys are. It's embarrassing, period.
Bad decision win for Paul. Showtime 3-fight contract. Hey, Showtime wouldn't be offering Jake a multi-fight contract if they didn't have faith in him, So like there's a reason why he's fighting Woodley, and there's a reason why he has a multi-fight deal with Showtime. Like the odds are in his favor in terms of this matchup stylistically. And I think you noted a big thing that people don't realize. Jake's a lot bigger guy than Tyron. A lot bigger guy.
I didn't think he was that big.
Yeah, I was surprised at that first face-off. That's the first thing I noticed was like, geez, like he's a lot bigger than him.
Can you say he's a little bit husky? Because he's
thick.
Yeah, he was thick.
He's a big boy.
He's a big guy. Yeah.
I was like, dang, he's evenly, his body's evenly, like he's thick.
No, he's thick. He's a thick, husky, freaking Ohio kid.
Yeah, he's big, and I'm like, dang, dude, like no way he walks around probably like 230, 240 easily, 230.
I don't know.
Well, no, I don't think he's that big. I don't think he's that big, man. I just feel like
he's solid.
He definitely looks like a solid boy, but I'm just saying, I mean, dude, it's a tough one for T Wood. Like T Wood, you have to sleep, dude. You don't got no choice, mate. I'm gonna tell you for the culture, homie. You gotta sleep. You gotta sleep, Jake T Wood. Period. I'm just gonna say it. I've been beating around the bush, perseverating. You must sleep, Jake Paul, homie. You got to. There's no other way around it, and you know it. When you look yourself in the mirror, you know you got to sleep this dude. Go out, do it.
But what happens if, like, okay, say Jake does win, and Jake proves all of us wrong, and he goes and he starts, he ends up like at 15-0 against like all these MMA guys, and then some like decent boxing guys, and it ends up that, oh crap, Jake can actually fight. Like, I don't know. I just feel like, what if that's the case? Like Jake can actually really fight. So then
nobody said that he can't fight. Nobody said he can't fight.
But why can't Tyron lose to a guy that can fight then?
Man,
because it's Jake Paul. Because it's a YouTuber, a Disney kid. But take that away, and Jake Paul's a guy that can fight and that can crack. What's wrong with losing to a guy like that?
Would he be boxing if he didn't have that following beforehand? Would he just walked into the boxing gym off top? Period. I mean, I'm just saying.
It is what it is, like he's leveraged.
Capitalizing.
It is what it is. What it ain't.
He's capitalizing on the sport, and people need to see it. I mean, people are wanting to see the Jake Paul train come to an end, and Tyron Woodley is the next guy up on the track. What's he gonna do?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. But even then, Woodley has said, like, regardless of the result, he's gonna keep boxing. He wants to have boxing matches, and he wants to make a run in boxing, having matchups like this as well. One thing that did come up that I was surprised, and it could have been its own subject, but I just want to touch on it quickly. Oscar De La Hoya and Vitor Belfort are fighting. And there's a press conference in Los Angeles tomorrow. I don't know, man. I don't understand why this is happening. Like, I want to ask Oscar tomorrow, like, what's your goal out of this? Like, why are you doing this? Like, are you doing this just because you want to prove to yourself that you still can? Like, are you doing this because you want to make a run at a title? Like, are you doing this because you want to fight Canelo? Like, what's the point of doing this? I don't get it.
I think a football player one time, he said on the radio, he said, an athlete will never accept that he's retired, ever, but your body will. Your body will always accept that you're retired because your body cannot maintain how you were when you were 20, when you were 25, when you're barely hitting 30. But once you retire, your mind is not accepting it, but your body is. So probably Oscar still has that. And Oscar always, when we talked to him, Oscar said Mike Tyson awoke in every fighter that if he can do it at that age, I can do it too. So maybe Oscar wants to prove, hey, I did all of this in my life. I was a pay-per-view king. I'm the golden boy. I fought the best. I've done this. I've done that. Why not try to give it a crack at that? I think that's what it is. And I think the Canelo fight is just make a little bit of noise, but I think he's trying to prove, hey, if they could do it, I could do it because they had all this success. So did I. Let me try it. And one thing about Oscar is that even though he wins or loses, he still will go out with a shield, like no matter what. Like he's going to fight towards the end. That's just what I personally keep on getting out of him when we ask him. When I hear the interviews and when I see him, he's more like, I just want to prove that I can do it. And like I said, your mind will say that you're going to tell, I'm retired. I'm not retired, but your body said, yeah, you are. You can't run those miles anymore. You can't do that anymore.
That's the thing then. Okay, he's saying he's not one and done. He's saying like he wants to have actual fights. You know, I could understand if, okay, you know, I'm just going to have this exhibition with Vitor, you know, just to get it out of my system. But he wants more than that, which is like, I just don't get. Like, I don't get. You mentioned, you know, hey, your body will tell you. That became very apparent when he fought Manny Pacquiao, you know. Like, he showed that he couldn't pull the trigger anymore.
Manny Pacquiao did that to everybody he done fought.
But he did it. That was Oscar De Hola.
Bro, regardless, even if Oscar was at 150, even if Oscar was at 154, Manny would have lit him up at that point. Manny would have lit him up at that point.
He never lost. Oscar never lost.
Oscar always had a problem with speed guys, with fast guys, and Manny was the penultimate speed guy, especially at that point. Manny would have. I love Oscar, bro, but Manny would have put a beating just as bad if he was a little bit more in weight. It's just, I don't know. Like, I just don't get it. You know, I guess we'll find out tomorrow, but I don't get it. And like, the other thing is like, I could see Vitor cracking Oscar, and Vitor cracks Oscar. It's lights out. Like that's the one thing Vitor has always had and has always been dangerous. Like Vitor is a very fast, twitchy guy. He's always had one punch KO power, and he's always had good punches in straight lines. And because Oscar's always had that stance where he keeps the middle open, I'm worried that Vitor is going to crack him. And if Vitor cracks him, he's not. I don't know. I don't know if he'll get up.
All right, cut the shit.
Oh, it's not. It's not
crapola. Cut the crapola. Listen, Brody.
Bro, Vitor, especially Vitor's on TRT.
I watched Vitor's highlights because I was like, man, I need to catch up on Vitor and just see, like, even young Vitor. Vitor is a charging forward. He was at his best. He was a charging forward, crazy punching. I don't see how Vitor will be able to beat De La Hoya in a boxing match. Now, I will give it to Vitor, explosive with the kicking, with the roundhouse kicking the dudes upside the head and whatnot. I don't see how he comes in and beats De La Hoya in the actual boxing match. But moreover, I also don't see, what's the future for De La Hoya? I don't know. Maybe he just wants to feel it again. You know, when I talked to him at Bank of California Stadium a couple of weeks ago, he just basically told me, like, I just want to fight, and I just want to fight anybody. So, you know, he's got a right to be feeling the way he wants to feel. But I tell you what, man, Oscar better be on alert, because is this Vitor or TRT toward? You got to be careful with Vitor. I know that, and I don't want to get on Vitor too hard, because when Vitor was on the TRT, it was legal, right? Yeah, and he was the person that prompted him to make it to the testosterone replacement therapy. Vitor was using that for a couple of fights while he was in the UFC, and ended up banning it after he recorded some victories on it. But you know, man,
smashing fools on it. It was like an unfair advantage because
he was working on cats, you know, a skilled guy, and then you give him that amount of recovery also that other guys weren't using. You know, it'd be interesting. Is there testing? We'll be asking that tomorrow because we'll be covering it. So will there be testing? What's the angle with the bout? So far we know that it's an 8-round, a real fight with 2-minute rounds though. So
yeah, that's the other weird thing.
That's weird. An 8-minute rounds. Yeah, eight deuces. That's weird. How's it a real fight with 8 twos? Oh, and it's not like on the female side of boxing, if you will. It's weird.
I don't get that either. Yeah, it's a weird thing, but I guess, you know, we'll find out some of those questions tomorrow when we go ahead and see them. Danny, Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. I actually could see that fight happening. You're gonna pick your boy Marcus. Wait. Chavez Jr. is Marcus's boy. So
hey. Chavez Jr. is in the back right now cooking some hamburgers, homie. He's retired, bro. We just kicking it, about to go play some Mafia 3, my guy. There's no more. It's over.
You lost all faith in Chavez Jr., huh?
Nah, you know what I'm saying? We got to find something else for Chavez Jr. to do, my boy. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking after him down here in SoCal, my dog.
I don't know. Anderson beat Chavez Jr. and Anderson, I guess him and Logan Paul are talking fight. I would not be surprised if Jake beats Chavez Jr. Would you be surprised, Yair?
I don't think so. Not at all. Just because Chavez Jr., I think that would be like the ultimate no. Like, you really cannot lose against this guy. Chavez, you've done all this in your career. All of that would be erased if you just beat Jake Paul. But I told y'all this. I said this a couple of months ago. I said, wait, Chavez Jr. versus Jake Paul. You're like, no, that won't happen. Now, watch. It's going to be a fight. I don't think so. Just because we've seen Chavez Jr. in big fights, and we've seen him with many experienced fighters. We've seen him, even though he's lost, Chavez he's always applying the pressure. We haven't seen Jake Paul, how he can amount to that with somebody who's going to be as big as him, who's going to be stronger than him, who's going to be bigger than him. I mean, I already said bigger. And I think Chavez will come out victorious for that one. Definitely Chavez. I can see Chavez just routing over him. And after he wins that, he can do whatever he wants. He can go to the hotel back with them girls like that happened the last time. He can do whatever he wants. And I can tell you, everything else will be forgotten. Everything else will be forgotten. Chavez Jr. will win that fight. I know what
Chavez Jr. is going to Chavez Jr. He's going to find some way to screw things up.
I ain't messing with him no more, homie. I ain't touching Chavez Jr., doggy. Chavez Jr., like I said, bro, go ahead and put extra cheese on my burger, doggy, because it's a done deal. You might as well be a short order cook, my boy. But another one, man, that's a great fight that I want to touch on that's been talked about is the ordering of the Crawford and Porter fight.
Hold on, no. Wait, we've got to get to the super chats. Hold on. We got to get the super chats.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Callie Drox, will we ever see Spence versus Crawford? Who is all your pound for pound? Let's get these quick so we can talk about that Porter thing before we go ahead and wrap up. Spence Crawford, I think so, because I think Crawford's contract with Top Rank is expiring, and Crawford versus Porter is being talked. It looks like it could be a co-op, a joint pay-per-view. So I think actually we will see it in the next year or two. My pound for pound, Canelo.
Canelo too. Yes. Virgil versus Jerome Boots Ennis. That's a fight that's gonna marinate, and that's something that's just too early to talk about. My personal opinion is it's marinated. It's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen. That's the fight that's gonna be in the welterweight division. But I also think you're forgetting about Conor Benn. Conor Benn's still coming up in that welterweight division. So I believe that's gonna be one of the biggest fights coming in the next 5 years.
Man, I feel like I think Virgil Ortiz, probably his life at 47 is longer than Boots. For some reason, man, I feel like I think that Boots watches fights. I think that Boots could compete at 60 or 54 right now. So, if it's too conglomerated at 47, I definitely could see Boots shooting up and contending right away. So don't get too comfortable with the thought of Boots in one of these 47 guys. The guys at 54 aren't safe either with Boots.
I'm glad you brought this up because I was just thinking this the other day. Given how the Castano fight turned out for Jermell, I actually really think that Sean Porter would do really well against Jermell Charlo, and he would have a real shot at beating Jermell because his style would be extremely difficult, seeing how that fight with Castano played out.
And Porter has a little better defense than Castano. Let's also add that. Porter has a little bit more defense, slight better defense than Castano. Castano really didn't have no defense. His offense was his best defense. Remember Marcos when it was going to the sixth, the fifth, between the fifth and the seventh round, said Marcos, he has not moved his head yet. There's no head movement from him. There's no head movement. He just goes back. He's going backwards. That's his defense, going backwards, something you learn in the amateurs when you're a novice. Started getting hit and just start going back. Once you start open, you're an open fighter. All right, you don't go back anymore. Now you turn the angle. Now you move around. Now you try to flip him, grab him with your glove, or you try to grab him real quick and let one arm go and start hitting him in the body real quick. So that's a good idea, though. Porter versus the Charlo, and one thing is that Porter from round 1 through 12 is the same Porter with the same engine. Over and over, does not get tired, comes forward. So, yeah, I would love to see that fight at 154. Heck yeah. I would prefer to see that in the Crawford and Danny. I'd rather see that.
Honestly, that's a fight that I haven't really thought of a whole bunch is Charlo versus Porter. That's an intriguing matchup. I just don't see Porter leaving right now. I mean, he could, but I don't see, and moreover, I see some bangers up there at 54 that Porter may have problems with also. I don't think that that's as easy of a trek for him. He's kind of in a sweet spot right now at 54. I think a guy like J-Rock gives Porter a hell of a fight. I think there's a couple of guys up there that give Porter tough fights at 54. I don't think his road to the title is that easy. My own thought.
But if they were to fight style-wise, it would be a difficult fight.
It's definitely a tough fight. It's definitely a tough fight. It's a tough fight. It just, you got to see Porter at 54 first before you can kind of assess what he'll be versus the damn near undisputed champion, the 3-belt champ.
Yeah, that's true. And we don't know how difficult it is for Sean to make that weight. I know Sean in his amateur career fought heavier.
He was like 160 something, right?
Yeah, he even fought
like 162 or something.
I would feel pretty confident that he's able to take the power of those guys.
Believe it.
So I just think style-wise.
He fought at 54 early in his career too, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think
he came down to 47.
Who said heavyweight?
Huh?
Who said that? Who said that Porter was even fighting like at 160, 170?
No, he did. He fought Usyk.
Yeah, Porter fought Usyk. The guy in my Hector Vasquez in my gym, he was part of the Olympic team, and he was there.
Better, smaller. Porter's better, smaller.
Yeah, but they told me, I think I've said this many times, that Porter, due to his unusual size for boxing, he had to work 3 times harder than everybody else. Like if they had to do their morning run, they had to do 7 or 8 miles. Porter would do 15. If they had to do 300 push-ups, Porter had to do 600 push-ups. Or except he always had to do double. If they were done with training, Porter was barely warming up. So Porter always pushed himself, and that's one of the guys in my gym who was a professional fighter. He was with Top Rank early. He said, dude, Porter, one thing you will always get is that he's continuous. He was going to fight. He might be awkward. He might just not be your stylish fighter, but he's going to give you 12 rounds, 36 minutes of nonstop action. And that's something that I admire from Porter. And even being now a commentator, I love the way he just speaks and pushes into the fight. But I don't know. Porter's a different type of animal and inside the ring. And I love the way he presents himself and how he fights. And everything that I've been hearing about him, it makes me respect him and admire him a little bit more. But, man, that fight, that fight that you just said, dude, I'm already like picturing it right now. Dude, that fight would be electric. Make it in San Antonio again.
Yeah, no, that'd be a great fight. But yeah, they're talking about Porter versus Crawford. And I know Marcus, you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, that is. I think that definitely is a way more realistic fight than Porter versus Charlo. Porter would have to jump over and leapfrog several guys in the division above him, and he has no merit to do so, quite frankly. He doesn't hold a belt to move up to 154 to have champion's preference to challenge anybody. He'd be nothing more than a name at 54 right now, and he'd have to work his way to the title. Crawford and Porter is a more realistic notion. It's something that's already been ordered by the WBO. And it looks like it very well could happen. I think that's a very good fight. That's a very, very, very good fight. And to be honest, man, I think that that definitely would be Crawford's coming out party.
I think it will happen because that's like there's no other better fight at this point for both fighters in terms of both what's at stake. It's a chance for Sean to win a world title, and for Terrence is Terrence's best opponent, most well-known opponent, and I think it would do decent pay-per-view wise. So it's like, Sean's fought everybody you could fight at PBC. You know, like he's gone through the whole gambit. You know, and a Crawford fight is more interesting than if he were to run it back with Keith again, if he were to run it back with Danny again, if he were to run it back with Errol. I don't know, maybe, you know, running it back with Errol would maybe do a bit better than Crawford. But because Crawford hasn't fought any of the PBC welterweights, I really think that this is the best viable option. And usually when it comes to that point, when a fight is being talked about, given that, I think it has an extremely good chance of it happening. But with that being said, you know, we hope that fight goes ahead and happens. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up the live chat. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us, sticking with us. Give us one more round of likes, please. Follow us on social media, and we'll be back here next Monday at 5:35 with a different topic to speak about for Marcus and Yair. I'm Marcos Villegas. Thank you guys for watching, and tune in. Oh, Marcus, you got one more thing to say?
I'm just going to leave you guys with this for the Porter Crawford fight. The charging style that Porter presents from time to time, he couldn't use that style versus Crawford. You can't rush in versus Crawford. Crawford is completely in his bag as a counterpuncher and as a devastating counterpuncher. So Porter would have to come with a different game plan. If he rushes Crawford, it could be a quick night. Surprise.
Well, we'll get more into this, and maybe that'll be the topic of the chat next week, because I got to go and sit down and really think out like what would be the approach. But you know, we've seen Sean box when he needs to box and mix it up and set up traps to what is advantageous for him, given his physical abilities and his gas tank. But that's a topic for another day. All right, guys, thank you so much. One last round of likes. Appreciate those for you that did the super chats. Thank you so much as well. Really appreciate that. And look for our coverage for Oscar versus Vitor tomorrow for the videos that are coming out. For everybody on the Fight Up team, thank you so much, and we'll see you